Good morning, Miss Golden Girl here. Today is Tuesday, July 12th, 2022. And today I want to do some storytelling about my month-long vacation in Hawaii with family and friends. Well, look, I got the calendar out here. This will be a souvenir. As I have mentioned in previous videos, this was a dream of mine to host family and friends in Hawaii. So I envisioned it starting in 2012, while I was still in Hawaii, my first time there. I arrived August 31st, 2011, and I stayed I stayed until April 4th, 2012. So when I went the first time, I stayed for a while in Hawaii. It costs money to go to Hawaii, and it's a long flight. So I stayed for a while. I made it a working vacation. So during my time there, I would sit and dream. Excuse me. So I envisioned, hosting family and friends. Sorry. To bring my grandchildren, to share this opportunity with them, to share it with my children possibly. So I envisioned it, I spoke it, I talked about it a lot. I shared my dream with family and friends. I planned it. I started planning in 2019. And as you can see, I wrote it. As you can see, I got some souvenirs from Hawaii. It's a mug. I have a bag. And I was telling you that in addition to envisioning my dream, speaking it, planning it, I also wrote it. This right here is my folder. You can see it's probably a 2-inch folder. But look at all my paper. And I was very organized. one of those accordion type folders. So, I have my different tabs: condo, hotel, activities, cancellation. Due to the pandemic, I had to cancel certain things and rebook. Originally, I was trying to host the vacation gathering July 2021. Due to the pandemic, I postponed it to June 2022. So this was my opportunity to wear my different hats. Traveling is my passion, and traveling is my legacy. So in planning this family friend gathering, I took on the function of tour guide. I took on the function of a travel agent. I took on the function of hosting. I used to work at hotels. I used to work, goodness. I don't know if I'm sitting close to the flowers, if that's having something to do with it or not. I used to work for the airlines. I did those jobs either as second jobs or working vacations. My first career was accounting, but I loved traveling, and I had considered majoring in that industry, hospitality, I should say, while in college. But I went with accounting, and accounting was really good for me, say the first half of my career. I accomplished all my goals that I set for my accounting career, and I took an early retirement so I could pursue traveling. So I'm saying all this to say that I'm very passionate about this. So this was a great opportunity. It was an opportunity to utilize these skills of mine. So it was fun. It was very fun. I worked with family and friends, with them booking their airline tickets. I worked with family and friends, providing them different videos so that they could come up with the one item that they were passionate about that they would want to do in Hawaii. Most of my guests just had 7 days, and so even 7 to 10 days, it's really not a lot of time for a trip to Hawaii. You're one day, you're traveling there, then there's a day to travel back, so then you might be left with 5 days. So I really worked closely with each person that was coming for them to plan what they wanted to do so it could go on the calendar so we could plan accordingly, and I could plan accordingly. And it worked really well. I think most of my guests in advance, they shared what they wanted to do. One thing I want to emphasize right now, going to Hawaii during the peak season, which is June, July, August, you really need to book your activities in advance. And I was so thankful that my guests were willing to do that and did that, because if you try to do something and book it when you arrive there, it could be sold out. It could be sold out. So I really stress, and what I learned during the peak season, to book your reservations in advance, to plan ahead. The last time, my first time there, we were there for the month of September, which is off peak. And so we didn't, book activities before going. But this time it was definitely necessary. And I think part of it contributing, coming off of a couple years that, due to the pandemic, that it was difficult. A lot of things there were shut down. So they were reopening and, trying to adhere to still safe distancing and just gearing back up after a 2 year being shut down. So it's different. So you have to plan accordingly. I watched a lot of videos gathering information on how to do this, and I shared it with my guests. So this is leading up to June 1st, how the calendar was very, very important. On the calendar I had when my guest was arriving, when they were departing. The one thing I wanted is for my guests to do what they wanted to do while there. Not about me, because I've been to Hawaii before. So I tried to pick them up from the airport, take them back to the airport. On the 15th, picking up and dropping off for departures and picking up for arrival was a challenge, but I made it. I'm going to share some information how I decided to do it the way I did. I rented a van because otherwise it would have been a cost to my guests to get some type of transportation from Honolulu to the condo in Ko'olina. And it was very expensive. That's another thing, to be able to get a vehicle to rent there in Hawaii. I did mine well in advance of my arrival time, because rental vehicles had become scarce also because of the pandemic, and the cost really went up. I couldn't get the van until June 2nd. I had looked into renting a car when I arrived on May 28th, but it was going to cost me close to $900 to rent a car for about 3 days. And I just said, that's just too much. I could Uber for less than that. And so that's what I did until I got the van. I've included some budget figures so you can have an idea how much different things cost. I asked each guest over 18 to contribute $100, and maybe I didn't phrase it just right. But to assist, with the vehicle expenses, and I think I said gas, but I should have said to assist with the cost of the van and gas. I was trying to cover the majority of the cost of the van, but with the gas prices going up so high, I needed some help on that. So when we went to Hawaii in 2011, there was 6 of us on this van rental, and we were there for the full month. So what we did, we just divided the cost. It was 6 of us, and we divided the cost among the 6 of us for the van, and then we contributed for gas as, you know, we utilized the gas. But it was 6 of us, and it was, to me, easier to do it that way then. So it's like trial and error when you come to something like this. But God is good. Everything worked out. I had my 2 travel credit cards where I had the van rental on one card, and I kept that separate. And then my other travel card, which was my Alaska airline travel card, I used that for all the other expenses. Now back to the travel card, which was my Chase Sapphire that I used for the van rental. With me, one of the benefits of that travel card was that waiver insurance, and that was awesome because I had the vehicle from June 2nd to June 30th. Although checking with my car insurance, since I got a new car and I have full coverage, it would have been covered under that. So I had some options with that. But when I first started planning, I had an older car and I wasn't carrying full coverage anymore. So, but that was the van. Then I like to touch on the condo. I'm sharing the cost of the condo in this video also. That was something that I was hosting, and I was providing for my guests the accommodation. I provided a arrival meal and breakfast the next morning to give them time so that, you know, they could sleep in, and then we go to the grocery store, and then they would from then on be responsible for their own meals. I had put a cookout on the calendar, and we did the cookout just once with my second week of family and friends, and that worked out really, really well. My one guest, sister girl Belinda, she got in there and she organized that cookout, and I just said, go for it. I appreciate it. I mean, it just took some responsibility off of me, because it was a lot of work getting things going and trying to be the driver. My guests had the option also of they could have gone on as a second driver. That would have given them some flexibility if they wanted to take the van to go where they wanted to go. So I tried to, you know, provide options for guests so that they could, you know, have access to the van if they wanted to. My daughter was the only one that went on as the second driver, and she arrived on June 20th, and that really took a weight off of me. I gave her those keys. I was so happy by that time. Oh, because being the only driver is hard, you know, it's hard. So I gave her those keys as soon as we got her added on. I picked her up, her and my granddaughter, from the airport, and we went straight to the rental place to add her on as the second driver. Oh, and that took so much weight off of me. But each guest over 25 or who was eligible had that option to go on as a second driver. You know, of course, they would have had to pay for it, and you make sure they had their insurance. So that's that. My next video will be about my first guest arriving on June 1st. All right. Take care until the next time. Bye.